Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Tuesday evening, October 22, 2024. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video. I'd really appreciate it if you guys get this video up to 100 likes. If you don't know by now, that's how the YouTube algorithm works. We all like the video and then the YouTube algorithm pushes the video out to more persons who are in the path of these tropical systems so that we can keep everyone safe, especially during the peak of Atlantic hurricane season. That's August through to October. Share this video with your friends, your co-workers, your relatives, and even your church brethren, and subscribe if you haven't yet done so. Leave a comment down below letting me know what the weather has been like here recently. Also feel free to ask any other related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Alright, so let us take a look at the US Climate Prediction Center's Global Tropics Hazards Outlook. And we can see that as of their latest update that just came out today, October 22, they've highlighted that across the Caribbean, we're still in for an increase in the amount of rainfall. We see the greens. That represents an increase in the rainfall. And we see it right here as well. And I'd like for you to keep in mind that this is valid for the time period from October 30 to November 5, as well as November 6 to November 12. So even as we head into the first week, even the first 2 weeks of November, we're still in for some above normal rainfall, as we can see by the lighter shades of greens by this time period, November 6 to 12. And the even darker shades of greens that represents what, a 65% to even 80% chance of above normal rainfall. And we even see some reds in there. We see the red and white patterns on both maps, but we also see the red patterns by themselves on the map that right here at the top, showing October 30 to November 5. That shows a 40% chance of something forming across the portion of the Caribbean, and Jamaica is definitely highlighted as well. So we definitely have to stay updated to see exactly what unfolds, even although we know that what the US Climate Prediction Center shows sometimes isn't 100% set in stone. We have to take these forecasts with a grain of salt, but as of right now, definitely showing that it's going to become very active before we wrap up the hurricane season in general. And so to speak, we have a post here from Andy Hazelton. He's actually a physicist, scientist at the National Weather Service, basically the same place that has to do with the National Hurricane Center. He definitely works at the NOAA, and from time to time he makes some accurate posts about the Atlantic hurricane season. And we see that he's made a post right here. This post actually came out yesterday at 8:28 a.m. so it's still valid. He's highlighting the fact that there are a couple of tropical waves across the Atlantic that could develop as soon as they get into the central to the western Caribbean. And we see that he's highlighted the ensemble members. All of these little red dots are showing somewhere where some kind of system could form. And we see Jamaica right here. All of these yellows into oranges showing something could definitely form, if not across the southwestern Caribbean, maybe being pushed off into the southwestern Atlantic right there to the north of the Caribbean. And it's not only one model that's showing this, but another model as well. Not seeing much support for the water to the north of the eastern Caribbean, but definitely the western Caribbean, including Jamaica. So we definitely have to pay close attention. There's been a lot of talk about this possible system, and we know the next name on the list is Patty. No name as yet, nothing being highlighted by the Hurricane Center as yet, which is why I've definitely been a bit reserved in terms of showing the supercomputer models. We know these supercomputer models can definitely change. It doesn't make sense to be showing them continuously, and I've seen points in time where I'm so excited to get some rainfall because the supercomputer models are showing rainfall, or they're showing something formulating, and then as time goes on they definitely back off or they drop the solution. So we definitely have to take these forecasts with a grain of salt. Don't believe and say, oh, there's something forming south of Jamaica, maybe a big hurricane is coming, whatever the case may be. Let's work with what the Hurricane Center has been doing. If it's not within that 7-day time frame, most of the times it is subject to change. So that's all I have to say. Don't always be out there following what the models are showing. The models can definitely be wrong. Sometimes they're right in terms of the rainfall or in terms of the fact that something could form later on, but we have to take it one step at a time. And I'm definitely working with what the US National Hurricane Center is stating. As of right now, as of their latest update that just came out at 7:18 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, which is actually 6:18 p.m. Jamaica time, so almost an hour ago, we see that they have no code yellows, nothing highlighted across the Western or the Central Caribbean, but we still do have the remnants of Oscar. Oscar, we remember, definitely crossed into portions of the southern Bahamas, section of Cuba, and lashed the area. And last I heard, it killed what, 6 people? Goodness. Anyways, as of the latest satellite imagery of Oscar, we see that most of the thunderstorms associated with Oscar, if it's gonna be loading for me, are you gonna load? Let's reload it since it doesn't seem to want to load. Alright, seems like it glitched out or something. Well, definitely glitched out. Nothing to see here. It definitely has been removed from the Tropical Tidbits website. No worries, I can definitely find it back. So we see that remnant of Oscar definitely done with. Possibly even removed, I'm sure. Pretty sure. Let me see if I reload the page. Alright, so it's still very much there on the Hurricane Center's website, but the Tropical Tidbits website no longer supporting it at all. But we can definitely see it is right here. We see all of the clouds associated with it. The heavy thunderstorms right here off to the east, definitely being shared as we speak. But there's a chance that it could fight off some of this wind shear and possibly develop later on down the road. We can definitely see that the Hurricane Center doesn't have much left to do with Oscar. As of right now, packing maximum sustained winds of 35 miles per hour, moving towards the northeast at 12 miles per hour. And the ensemble spaghetti models definitely in consensus, keeping it a remnant low, possibly making it back to tropical storm status or even hurricane status when it gets to the west or Bermuda right there. And we see that both the Euro and the GFS ensembles are in consensus with this. We'll see exactly what unfolds if the wind shear doesn't rip it totally apart. We see that even the intensity model guidance definitely has the system becoming a tropical storm again within the next 2 days. If we take a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening, we can still see that ridge of high pressure across the northern portion of North Atlantic that we know is responsible for sending all of the easterly trade winds across the main development region into the Caribbean. And with these easterly trade winds, we have some tropical waves moving from east to west, one right here across the eastern Caribbean, another one right here equidistant from Africa and the Caribbean. And we see that there's another tropical wave right here to the west of Jamaica with the area of low pressure associated with the remnant of Oscar right there across portions of the Bahamas. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before the sun went down, we can make out all of these entities. The tropical wave definitely brings a lot of moisture to portion of the eastern Caribbean. The other tropical wave right here more so squashed towards the southern portions of the main development region right there in the intertropical convergence zone. We can also see the clouds associated with Oscars definitely being sheared off, still attached to that trough and that frontal system right there, pushing into the northern portion of North Atlantic. And to the west of Jamaica, we have that tropical wave. We'll be talking more about the rest of the Caribbean later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today, Tuesday, October 22, 2024. It was stated that parts of some southern parishes in Jamaica would have received some morning rainfall, and then portions of northern Jamaica would have received some afternoon rainfall. And we know southern Jamaica, we're talking about those parishes such as Westmoreland, St. Elizabeth, Manchester, Clarendon, St. Catherine, Kingston, St. Andrew, and St. Thomas. While northern Jamaica, you know, we're talking about parishes such as Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary, and Portland. And even although no post was made for the morning, we definitely saw some clouds coming in from the south, bring some isolated shores, a section of some southern parishes, section of Clarendon, section of St. Catherine did indeed get on some isolated shores, even although nothing was posted. But it was the afternoon that we saw most of the activity. This image was posted here on our Twitter page at around 3:16 p.m. And I'd like for you to keep in mind that these posts aren't only made here on our Twitter page at Weather Jamaica, but they're also made on our Instagram page at weather.jamaica, on our TikTok page at Weather Jamaica, and on our Facebook page at Weather Jamaica 876. So if you have one of those social media platforms, please ensure that you follow us there as we make posts throughout the day that you can't afford to miss. So at around 3:16 p.m. the visible satellite image was posted of Jamaica, and it definitely highlighted what was predicted. More of those clouds definitely piling up across portions of some northern parishes, bring some overcast skies, if not isolated showers. The section of Portland, section of St. Mary, St. Anne for sure gotten on some amount of rainfall. So too Trelawney, section of St. James, and even portions of Hanover got in on some of the action. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of Jamaica before the sun went down, we can definitely see what was taking place. We even had some rainfall, some of these clouds across portions of Clarendon, portions of northern Manchester getting in on the mix as well, even Westmoreland getting in on some of the action. But that was just about it. Even although we saw some thunderstorms bursting across portions of the northern parishes and portion of northern section of some southern parishes like northeastern Manchester, northern Clarendon, we saw the high cold cloud tops. We saw the blues, the greens, the yellows, the oranges that represent some thunderstorm activity, and we see the sparkling white that's how we know represents some amount of lightning strikes, if not lightning flashes. So we definitely had some isolated thunderstorm activity given that southerly flow that we've been talking about, all of which is caused by the proximity of Oscar close to Jamaica. Well, not so close anymore over there by the Bahamas, but we know we usually would have received more of an easterly to westerly kind of flow, leaving all of the thunderstorms across western Jamaica. But we saw the pattern that we were receiving today definitely different, and we definitely saw that coming in the forecast from yesterday. And as expected, nothing was taking place across Kingston. This is See Jamaica's YouTube channel that shows live streams of the Kingston Harbor, Halfway Tree, Crossroads, Panoramic City View. And if you'd like to see more of these live streams, just go over to See Jamaica. If you don't know by now, I have a partnership with this channel, and they're planning on increasing the amount of cameras that they have in and around the island. So I'd subscribe today if I were you, so that I don't miss out when they actually install a camera near your house. So you can definitely see that it was definitely fair. This is as of 2:08 p.m. Definitely sunny conditions for the most part. This is from over, I guess, the Palisadoes main road. We can even see a plane right here if you look closely. And looking north to Kingston, you can definitely see that it was indeed a sunny day for the most part. And if we take a look at the accumulated precipitation for the past 24 hours from the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology website, this map does indeed paint a picture of where we had that rainfall today, more so across sections of some northern parishes, just as we saw in the visible satellite images. Section of Portland, St. Mary, St. Anne, section of Trelawney, St. James, Hanover, Westmoreland, northern portions of Manchester, northern portions of Clarendon definitely got in on the mix in terms of the rainfall today. And if we take a look here at a comment that came in from one of our followers on our Facebook page, we had Esther stating raining in St. Mary in this central parish, and this was posted 3 hours ago at 3:33 p.m. so that indeed confirms the rainfall for a portion of northern Jamaica today. And if we take a look at the very latest still image, this is the latest image that just came out as of 55 minutes past the hour. So this one just came out right here as of 6:55 p.m. basically what, up to 15-17 minutes ago. I can definitely see Jamaica right here, definitely clearing out for the most part, but we can't rule out some lingering showers across portion of the island. We see some clouds across portion of Manchester, Clarendon, maybe sections of the waters to the north of Portland, maybe to the north of St. Anne. Let's match all of what we're seeing there with what we're seeing on the Cuban Doppler radar. So this is the latest Doppler radar image that just came out at 8:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Alright, so that just came out at 8:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we can definitely see some amount of rainfall right there to the north of Portland, just to match it with what we're seeing on the infrared. We see the cloud right here, the whites, we see the blues as well, and we can even make out some amount of isolated showers to the north of St. Anne, some rainfall right there to the south of St. Elizabeth, and some rainfall right there even to the west of the island too. Definitely matching with what we're seeing here on the infrared. And if we take a look at the latest Guantanamo Bay Cuban Naval Radar Station, just some leftover isolated showers from Oscar across portions of eastern Cuba, the waters between Haiti and Cuba, some rainfall across portion of the western peninsula of Haiti as well, getting in a some amount of rainfall. And we can also see some amount of clouds if we take a closer look on this latest well, not satellite, but latest live view from See Jamaica's YouTube channel, showing the panoramic view. We can definitely see some patches of clouds here and there. Definitely can see the lights across New Kingston into halfway tree over here. We can see the transport center. Definitely gonna be a fair night for the most part if we don't get some isolated showers coming in from the south, but I highly doubt that. Alright, if we take a look at the latest temperatures, we can see about 26 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 27 degrees Celsius in Kingston. And by about 4 a.m. on Wednesday, temperature should dip down to about 24 degrees Celsius in both Montego Bay and Kingston. Taking a look here at the temperature forecast for tomorrow, this map from the GFS is valid for 18D on Wednesday. When calculated, that's about 1 p.m. on Wednesday. And we can see Jamaica right here embedded in some slight yellow colors. I know the yellow colors are representative of at least 1 degree Celsius above normal temperatures, as we can see by the key on the right. And we know the normal temperatures for the month of October across Jamaica are about 89 degrees Fahrenheit. 89 degrees Fahrenheit when calculated is about the same as 31.6 degrees Celsius. So you should be receiving anywhere from 31 to 32 degrees Celsius at most for Jamaica's temperature on Wednesday. If we take a look at the tips to beat the heat, I cannot stress enough how important it is to always be eating some amount of fresh fruit. You can't go wrong with watermelons, apples, grapes. Ensure that you rest. Make sure you get enough sleep and rest if you are feeling tired. Ensure that you soak. Take a cool shower or bath to help you cool down. And finally, always keep hydrated. I cannot stress this enough how important it is to always stay hydrated throughout the day. Drink lots of water even if you're not thirsty. Put away the sugary drinks. Drink water instead. If we take a look at the Saharan dust forecast for 2 p.m. on Wednesday, you can definitely see all the browns that represent the Saharan dust stretching all the way from Africa across the main development region into portion of the Caribbean. The Eastern Caribbean definitely getting a break right now with the tropical wave coming in. But we do see some of the browns coming into portion of Hispaniola. Jamaica is right here, so we're going to be starting to get in on some of the slight Saharan dust, but it's nothing too vigorous to cause us to have very hazy skies or trigger some amount of respiratory illnesses, asthma, sinusitis in some persons. We are happy that most of the time when all of this pushes from east to west, the intensity of it or the vigor of it actually dwindles the more west it goes. If we take a look at the wave forecast for tomorrow, we still see those lighter shades of blues to darker shades of blues across much of the Caribbean. That represents anywhere from 0.5 meter wave height all the way up to 1 meter wave height. And especially in and around Jamaica, the waves are going to be that low because the winds are not going to be that strong at all. We see more blues and duller shades of greens across the central Caribbean, in and around Jamaica. Anywhere from 5 to 10 knots definitely expected. We see that flow from the northeast across the western Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico, averaging anywhere from 10 to 20 knots at most. That flow from the east then curving to the north. So more of a southeasterly flow from the eastern to the central Caribbean. And we see the winds averaging anywhere from 10 to 15 knots at most. And regarding what's expected across Jamaica for tomorrow, we see that we don't have much in the way of a wind direction or a wind speed. The winds are definitely seeming a bit variable. On the east side coming in from the east south, east on the south, well, on the south side coming in from the south, on the west side coming in from the west or the west southwest. We see it coming in from the north on the north coast. So definitely variable winds are going to be expected, but look at where all of the air is piling up. Look at where we have the darker shades of blues across portion of some eastern, central, and western parishes, inland areas at that. So we might just get some afternoon rainfall across those spots, inland areas of some eastern, central, and western parishes in Jamaica for sure. And with the upper level winds for tomorrow seeming to be coming in more so seeming from the west southwest, could definitely favor more of that rainfall across northern parishes, north central, northeastern, northwestern parishes for sure. And the rainfall forecast maps are definitely in consensus with that forecast. This map from the Euro and this map from the GFS are both valid for 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 11 a.m. Jamaica time. And what do we see on both maps? Definitely some rainfall in blue for portion of eastern Jamaica at 11 a.m. Section of Portland, St. Thomas, maybe section of Kingston, St. Andrew. And we even see portion of northern Jamaica in the mix, St. Mary, St. Anne. Definitely quite an interesting forecast, even although the Euro is trying to incorporate some western parishes, section of St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, St. James, even portion of Manchester in the mix. But we're working with what both maps are showing, and we're seeing it across northern and eastern parishes for the late morning. Then during the afternoon, look at what we're seeing. The blues represent rainfall across sections of some eastern, central, and western parishes. And if you look closely, most of it seems to be on the northern side rather than the southern side. We see more white on the southern side than anything else on this GFS map. The Euro doing its Euro thing as usual, showing most of the blues across the island in general. But we're going to be working for what the GFS is showing, more of that rainfall across northern Jamaica. So it's going to be more of a day where we have rainfall during the afternoon across sections of some eastern, central, and western parishes, but more of the focus on northern parishes. And even the accumulated precipitation forecast maps are in consensus with the forecast for rainfall across the island tomorrow. Euro showing all the way up into the yellows that represent up to 0.3 of an inch of rainfall or more. GFS showing the same thing, up to 0.28 right there across the northern portion of the island. Definitely making sense, considering that the most rainfall should be across the northern portion of the island tomorrow. So eastern, central, western Jamaica, but with the bias across northern Jamaica. That is definitely going to be the forecast. And we're indeed grateful. We're in the month of October. We usually receive the most rainfall during this month. In Montego Bay, we usually receive 8.5 inches of rainfall. That's what, 212 millimeters of rainfall. In Kingston, we usually receive up to 170 millimeters of rainfall. That's about 7 inches of rainfall, if I'm not mistaken. And I'd like for you to keep in mind that if you'd like to find out what your specific parish receives throughout the year or for the month of October, you can visit weatherandclimate.com, and you can use this nice little graphic right here that converts rainfall from inches to millimeters. We know that 1 inch of rainfall is about the same as 25 millimeters of rainfall, so you can do the math yourself. Alright, so that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let us focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So as stated, the Eastern Caribbean definitely getting in on some amount of rainfall associated with that tropical wave. Some moisture right there to the north of the Caribbean associated with the leftovers of Oscar definitely being sheared out as we speak. Some clouds bring some isolated showers to portion of Florida, the Bahamas as usual, section of Central America as usual getting in on their fair share of isolated showers. So to portion of northern South America into portion of Belize and Panama, and we see the moisture associated with the other tropical wave right here, the northeast of South America as well. That's expected to push westward, and it's this one that's expected to push possibly westward and maybe develop somewhere over here in the Western Caribbean in a week or so. If we take a look at the Doppler radar images of the northeastern Caribbean, just to match what we're seeing regarding that tropical wave, you can definitely see the shores right there, more so across the eastern islands of the Caribbean. Section of Antigua and Barbuda, Guadeloupe definitely getting in on the mix. We see some rainfall right here across the waters to the south, west of Puerto Rico to the northwest of Puerto Rico as well. And if we load these images from earlier today, as of what, 1:25 p.m. we were seeing what's happening. Portion of the Dominican Republic getting in on some amount of rainfall, some rainfall coming into portion of eastern Puerto Rico, southern Puerto Rico, lots of rainfall coming into portion of the Leeward Islands. St. Kitts and Nevis in and around Antigua and Barbuda, St. Bart's, Guadeloupe, Dominica getting in on some isolated shores. Looking on the Barbados radar, not seeing much taking place right now, but we do see some isolated shores coming into portion of St. Lucia, the Grenadine Islands, St. Vincent, definitely about to get in on a nice squall line right there. If you look closely, you can definitely see it coming in. And if we scroll down, not seeing much taking place across Trinidad and Tobago right now. But if we take a look at what we have Doppler radar images, we can make out some rainfall that took place across portions of northeastern Venezuela, northwestern Venezuela, Colombia, Honduras, Belize, the Yucatan Peninsula, and even portions of Florida as well as western Cuba. And regarding where the rainfall is expected within the next 24 hours, this map from the Euro and this map from the GFS are both showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until 10 p.m. on Wednesday. Not saying that's going to be raining from now all the way up until then, but these are the spots that are going to be picking up some isolated showers. And we see some rainfall in store for portions of eastern Florida, sections of Cuba, sections of the eastern and southern Bahamas, Turks and Caicos still getting in on some amount of rainfall. If it's not already falling right now, it's definitely coming within the next 24 hours. Eastern Cuba, Haiti, the Dominican Republic getting in on the mixed sections of Puerto Rico, the US and British Virgin Islands getting in on some isolated shores, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Martin, St. Bart's, Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda, Guadeloupe, Dominica, sections of St. Lucia, St. Vincent. Scrolling down, we can see some rainfall in store for section of Grenada, Trinidad and Tobago, the waters to the north of Guyana, Suriname and French Guiana. But we do see some rainfall definitely in store for portions of central and western Venezuela, Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Honduras, sections of El Salvador, Guatemala, Belize, and the coastal areas of the Yucatan Peninsula. For sure, not seeing much happening across the Cayman Islands at all. I know that when both maps from the Euro and the GFS are in consensus like this, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.